Yes, like to say, welcome back. It's Friday, and you're with Gay Detroit Radio and James D. That would be me. I nearly forgot my name. What a silly boy I am. Well, quite a lot happened this week. I'd also like to start the show on quite a sad note, especially for Robin Williams. You're going to be sadly missed, buddy. You know, some of us are very upset with what's happened. Some a little angry and some a little judgmental. Whatever your views are, I'm sorry, but I don't want to listen to them. Simple as that. Neither does anyone else. Everybody's thoughts and everybody's prayers are with this man at his time. But let's think about his family. His family, the ones are suffering. No one else. So Robin Williams, you'll be sadly missed. But please, just give a little thought to the family, because his daughter actually had to close down her social media account because of all the cruelty and the injustice of you judgmental people. You know, this is what I really don't like, unfortunately, is that everybody seems to judge everybody's life. You know, you can only judge other people's life when you've got your own shit together. So stop your crap and leave other people alone. But on a happy note, it is a report that marriage equality would add 53 million million dollars to the economy and quite a few jobs, over 500 new jobs over the next 3 years. This is according to a new study. Researchers at the Williams Institute, an independent think tank, and I'm now trying to talk because I nearly swallowed my whole tongue. But that's another story, and actually can be quite enjoyable. But let's back to the researchers at the Williams Institute, an independent think tank. And they actually thought that this is a great thing to do because $53.2 million in spending to the state's economy and could generate over 500 new jobs over 3 years. I think that really is grossly underrated, personally, because, excuse me, we had an interview with last week with the Sheraton Novi, and they had the first LGBT wedding expo. And they're saying there's going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars coming in because, trust me, we know how to spend. We like to party. So that actually, I think, although it's a good thing, you know, and I keep saying this every week, if you don't agree with the cash cow, don't agree with us, I should say, jump on the cash cow because everybody likes money. Money, money, money. Okay, and here's a good guy, actually. I like this Josh Hutcherson. He sits straight but not narrow on his T-shirts. This young man is from the Hunger Games star, and he wants to start a new campaign to help gay teens. As you know, gay teens are very vulnerable as well to the world of suicide, which is very much a great big topic on the news at the moment. A little bit later in the program, I'm going to try and get a hotline for your teenagers and for people who are not feeling too good. It's, you know, Good Samaritans, anybody who will listen to you talk. But back to Josh Hutcherson. He wants to help teens with low incomes and from rural areas who may not be able to connect with other LGBTI youth online. So I think that's really good, because the thing is, the worst thing about coming out, or the worst thing about finding out that you are gay or slightly different, but really you're not, is the lack of communication with anyone at all. You are not alone. Trust me, you are not alone. And let's get back to now Minnesota. Rhode Island celebrates their first anniversary of marriage equality. Yay! And the heavens are still blue. The grass is still green. We didn't have a plague of locusts. I'm still feeling quite nice myself. What can I say? And last but not least for this happier section, now I wanted to open with a happy section because of all the bad news that's really, really been going around at the moment, is the United Church of Christ has just become the first church to sue a state, which is North Carolina, for banning same-sex marriage, arguing that the ban violates the constitutional to protect the freedom of religion. Now, this is cool, don't you think? Opponents of same-sex marriage, like to play the freedom of the religious freedom card, as if anybody else is suggesting that the churches can be forced to conduct such marriages. In reality, it is they who are actually infringing on the religious liberties of others by pushing these outright bans on legal same-sex marriages. If a church wants to bless a legal marriage between two consenting adults, same-sex or otherwise, why shouldn't they be allowed? We are strongly supporting the United Church of Christ in their fight for justice and sexual minorities. Actually, I don't agree with that sexual minorities thing because, trust me, that's a lot of phooey. There's a lot more out there than you think, and I'm not going to say anymore because this is actually, they want to now actually protect their religious rights of freedom. The United Church of Christ wants to protect their rights of religious freedom to marry who they want, which is exactly what it should be. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Gay Detroit Radio. I'm James D. And we're going to actually have a little song now. And it's going to be from, Cullen Blue. And he's going to be the Lord of the Dance Floor. You're listening to www.radio-ob.com.
Michael was 21, life had just begun. Zipped up his boots and ran out the door, jacket in his arms, looked at the stars, jumped in the car as he said goodnight, put into drive as he drove out of sight, radio blared, gel in his hair, ready for the night, the boy prepared. Pulled up to greet the club on spot, parked as he ran from the parking lot, ID out, he was feeling free, ready to move in the dark with his drink, entered the bar with a sense of joy, nothing could stop this boy from the love of the beat and the shuffle of the feet. He stopped as he looked at the crowd, and then he said, music, it moves me, music, it soothes me, brings me to life. Music, it kills me, music, it thrills me, all through the night. Stomp on the catwalk, pop from the backdrop, lord of the dance floor, fire in the disco. Give me a sign that you feel me, you see me, you hear me, dancing my life away. Ashley was 23, wanted nothing more than to dance to the beat. She had her sneakers on, hands in the air, strutting up and down those stairs. Shot after shot, she was feeling free. Let the music move her feet, moving that ass, shaking fast, making the boys say damn as she passed. Didn't give a fuck about the hate, dancing through the night to clean that slate. Stars in her eyes, smile on wide, looking for a message in the sky. Feeling so good as she dropped the step and never stopped once just to catch a breath. Didn't want to worry, didn't want to fight. This was a night to make it right. Pulled into a boy as she kissed his lips, wrapped her arms around as he gripped her hips. Tension grew hot from between the two. He whispered in her ear his I love you. Her heart beat fast, she began to twirl. Nothing could stop this girl from the love of the beat and the shuffle of the feet. She stopped as he looked in his eyes and then she said, music, it moves me, music, it soothes me, brings me to life. Music, it kills me, music, it thrills me, all through the night. Stomp on the catwalk, pop from the backdrop, lord of the dance floor, fire in the disco. Give me a sign that you feel me, you see me, you hear me, dancing my life away. up as you turn it up. Put your hands high if you feel the touch. Don't control it, feel the soul, and don't hold back, just let it go. Let the music move you deep inside. Let the music give you a sense of pride. Tonight's the night, it feels so right. So bring it to the chorus one more time. Music, it moves me. Music, it soothes me. Brings me to life. Music, it kills me. Music, it thrills me. All through the night. Stop on the catwalk. Pop from the backdrop. Board of the dance floor. Fire in the disco. Give me a sign that you feel me. You see me. You hear me. Dancing my life away. Music influences me. Music influences me. It feels so right. Dancing my life away. Tonight's the night. It feels so right. It feels so right. It feels so right. Down from the catwalk. Pop from the backdrop. Board of the dance floor. Fire in the disco. Give me a sign that you feel me. You see me. You hear me. Dancing my life away.
Yes, welcome back to Gay Detroit Radio. I'm James D. I'm your host. Remember, we're here every Friday at 9 p.m. on www.radio-op.com. You can also get us on, gaydetroitradio.com. Also, you can get us at gaydetroitradio@gmail.com. And you can do the Gay Detroit Radio at Facebook and also Gay Detroit Radio at Twitter. So if you don't know how to get to Gay Detroit Radio, you're a moron. Okay, now let's see what's happening in good old gaydar world today. Let's see. Well, what's really been happening is in this actually sort of, with it being sort of the suicide week, unfortunately, this sort of got to me a little. In the US, a deceased teen's tissue donation was rejected because he was gay. Now, this is one of the most stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. Apart from this young person taking its life because it thought there was no help and nowhere else to go. A deceased teen's organs have been partially rejected for donation because he was gay. 16-year-old A.J. Betts from Iowa, I do apologize, committed suicide about a year ago after experiencing severe bullying. Parents, really start checking up on your child, please. This is really, really getting a little ridiculous. Also, teachers, you cannot put this blame on anyone else. Really start looking after your children. You are responsible for these children. Anyway, so 16-year-old A.J. Betts, was he actually committed suicide because of experiencing severe bullying. Months before his death, he actually volunteered to become an organ donor and tissue donor. A Food and Drug Administration policy prohibiting men who have sex with men from donating certain tissues, however, barred some of Betts' tissue from being donated. Betts' mother, Cheryl Moore, only learned her son's tissue had not been donated after receiving a letter detailing the status of the donation. So Betts' liver, lungs, kidneys, heart have been accepted. His eyes, however, were rejected. Okay, now can somebody sort of explain this to me, because I am now totally confused. Now, they're rejecting his organs because he's supposed to be gay. Or they're supposedly... So they're picking and choosing which organs they can actually use, even though he is gay, but yet are banning certain things because he's also gay. I am just... So because these, the liver, the lungs, the kidneys and heart... they're the most important parts, and the thing is, well, okay, he's gay, but at least they'll live. But his eyes, however, not as important. Well, he's gay, so they can still be blind. Fuck him. What the hell is going on? Totally ridiculous. Dear. Also, as well, equally disappointing, unfortunately in Tennessee, the marriage equality ruling, it breaks its streak. Actually, the judge in Tennessee marriage equality case became the first in the U.S. to rule against same-sex marriage. Well, you know what? I've been expecting this because, you know what, there's always some... In fact, you know, in my grandmother's favorite saying, in every bunch of roses, you will always find one prick. Well, we found him in Tennessee. Circuit Judge Russell E. Simmons Jr. of Roane County said in his decision, neither the federal government nor another state should be allowed to dictate to Tennessee what has traditionally been the state's responsibility. The case was brought by two gay men, both Tennessee residents, who actually had been married in Iowa for 4 years previously and now seeking divorce. Well, you know what? Wait for divorce. We've had to wait for marriage. You can wait for divorce. Sorry, but you know what? It's pissing me off. We're not even got bloody legal yet with marriage, and now you want a divorce? This is why I got pissed off with Gene Simmons. No, not the Gene Simmons, the first Reverend Gene Simmons, not the Kiss one. No, well, what can we say? Anyway, so now here's a turn up for the books. I just thought, you know, karma is a bitch, and it just really became and bitch slapped this silly little bastard. Only a few months before, Jonathan Sings became the president of the anti-gay group Texas Values. Well, apparently, his wife has left him for another woman. Isn't that just a bastard? Oh dear. Oh dear, this is going to give me a heart attack. Oh, this is just way too funny. Sims had a relatively abrupt change in values during the time of his divorce, switching from a social conservative political figure to one of Texas' most notoriously anti-gay politicians. And whilst the divorce was pending, Saines became the president of Texas Values after the organization split from another conservative group that Saines was involved in. Texas Values is known for opposing same-sex marriages and non-discrimination laws protecting the LGBT community. In other words, they hate faggots. Simple as that. Damn, that is just so cool. What? And I am not a wicked bitch, but today I am. You got screwed. Oh, that is just so wonderful. But, on the other hand, we've got this little bastard here. There's, Rick Wiles. Now, apparently, Ebola could solve America's problems with atheism and homosexuality. Now, this Ebola epidemic can actually become a global pandemic, and that's another name for plague. Well, we didn't know that, did we? Bugger me. In other words, it may be a great attitude adjustment, and I believe is coming, he said. Ebola could solve America's problems with atheism, homosexuality, sexual promiscuity, pornography, and abortion, and sluts. Well, actually, that should rule him out at all because, he must be atheist because he's hateful. Homosexuality, well, you know what? Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Sexual promiscuity, well, he's probably getting too old for that now, poor bastard. Pornography, he probably watches a lot of it. And abortion, well, I don't want to stick up at anything in that one. So apparently he's just really a nasty, nasty, nasty man who doesn't like anyone, anything, or whatever. So I'm just going to play this for that guy because he's just an idiot. And I'm going to play Gabe Lopez. And 'Cause You Like Boy. Welcome back to Gay Detroit Radio. Don't forget, we're here every week on Friday evenings from 9 o'clock at www-op.radio.com. Do you know, I just really screwed that up. It's www.radio-op.com. I say that bloody thing every week, and I still screw it up. Anyway, so don't forget, it's www.radio-op.com. Also, GayDetroitRadio.com, Gay Detroit Radio at Facebook, Gay Detroit Radio at Twitter, and GayDetroitRadio@gmail.com. Now I feel better. Okay, here's something now. Do you know, this is why I'm still getting angry with all these pastors and God knows what. You know, these self-righteous little pieces of crap. There's a pastor of a church in Tampa, Florida. And what he did was he cancelled a gay man's funeral, and he cancelled a man's funeral because he was gay, basically. And he says, I don't hate gay people. It says T.W. Jenkins of New Hope Missionary Baptist Church told Tampa TV. He says, it's against his beliefs. This poor guy, Evans, 42, died in July of a rare illness called amyloidosis, and it destroys the body organs. Julian Evans was married to his partner of 17 years, Kendall Capers, and in his obituary, Capers was listing as the surviving spouse. And Jenkins said this caused the church members to complain, and it would have been more of a negative response to hold a funeral than to cancel it. That is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. This is when you people should really then go there and bitch slap them, because this is really ridiculous. These people are taking the law into their own hands, and they're telling you how you should live your life whilst they're begging you to give them money for their church roof, which never seems to leak or never seems to get fixed. I digress. Also in Florida County, which I think is a good thing as well, in Fort Lauderdale, in Broward County, Florida, commissioners on Tuesday approved a resolution supporting same-sex marriage and are asking the county attorney to research ways to withhold taxpayer funding from the state that would be used in the appeals process. In other words, if you want to appeal it, use your own bloody money. I like this. I like this a lot. This is really good. The TV reports that the commissioners voted unanimously to oppose Florida's same-sex marriage ban and hope to send a message to the Attorney General Pam Bondi, who, by the way, has been divorced twice. Blonde bimbo. She can't give a himbo. Oh dear. So they're now going to start withholding county funds and saying, if you really, really want to fight this, use your own money. Bravo, Florida. Yes. We're on a roll because Orlando, apparently, is all happening in Florida. Orlando has now extended its anti-discrimination laws over to cover transgender people. The Orlando City Council passed a resolution on Monday amending the city's human rights ordinance, adding gender identity and expression to list of adding gender identity and expression to a list of protected characteristics. So now it's illegal to discriminate in the city based on sexual orientation, race, disability, sex, national origin, religion, age, marital status, or gender identity and expression under the law. Well, but I'm telling you, Florida, my God, I like this a lot. Very well done. Good God, Florida, thank you. I'm very proud of you. Now, here's something. And then we go to Portland. Portland area. Now, a man has taken to social media this week to share a receipt he received from the Portland Apple Store. That's not produce, that means the computer, which bears the word fag in the space where the customer's email address should appear. Adam Gregory Catanzarite, an HIV prevention specialist at the Cascade AIDS Project, who identifies himself as queer, alleges that the homophobic slur emblazoned receipt was given to him on July the 8th, after he purchased a $29 pair of earpods. And actually, you can see on the receipt, it says F with the circle surrounding the A at G. So just completely making it fag.com appear under his name. I think this is rather disgusting. Now, Apple, for God's sake, I mean, and they're actually refusing to rectify the situation. They're completely saying nothing and just saying, so what? So if you're wanting to buy Apple, just make sure you don't live at fag.com, because otherwise they're going to tell you about it. Well, that's this section over with. I think we'll have a nice, happy little song, a little Everyday by myself, and we'll see what's going to happen for the rest of the show. I'm James D, and you're listening to Gay Detroit Radio at www.radio-ob.com. I'll be back.
I know I need you.
Welcome back to Gay Detroit Radio. Yes, here we are again. Yes, we've got a wonderful, wonderful show this week. Lots to talk about, and we've talked about a lot already, but I want to make this like a positive section of the show, because sometimes it just seems to be all doom and gloom and oh my God. But here's a nice one. Now, here's a nice thing. A teacher got fired. It's not a nice thing. I do apologize. But the nice thing about it is 700 people attended a town hall meeting for a fired gay music teacher. Well, what do you think of that? So here we go. So, yes. So the town hall called a meeting. 700 people were actually came up, and I will get my mouth to work. This is when when your teeth are working and your mouth is being very, very disobedient because you've had your nose fixed. I've started, so I'll finish. Town hall meeting, 700 people, fired gay teacher. Moving on. It's a familiar story. A gay employee who works for a Catholic institution, kills a breeze, only to be summarily fired when he comes out publicly as gay. In the case of Colin Collette, it happened to be when he announced on his Facebook page that he was engaged to William Nifong, a Latin teacher at the Northside College Preparatory High School in Chicago. Now, this guy actually advertised this on his Facebook page, not in school time, not in work time, not in anybody else's Catholic business. But Colin has been the music director of the Holy Family Catholic Church in Inverness, Illinois, for 17 years. Colin says his superiors always knew that he was gay, but when he came out of the closet, which really is not, that's the wedding closet, he was fired. The church pastor, Terry Keehan, explained the termination in a written statement. Through the use of social media, the Archdiocese of Chicago has become aware that Colin has publicly endorsed a position in conflict with the church teachings. Employees who make such choices cannot remain employed by the Archdiocese. But yet you can remain employed by the Archdiocese if you molest children. You can also remain employed by the Archdiocese and placed because you believe that God can change that man. So you will endanger other children because it's your way or it's the highway. So, but the firing did not sit well with the parishioners of the Holy Family Church, many of whom expressed their displeasure to the church officials. The protest became serious enough that Reverend Keehan called what he termed a town hall meeting for listening and respect. Well, there doesn't seem to be a lot of listening, and there doesn't seem to be any respect whatsoever unless you've got your hand up a child's pants. I think it's disgusting. So, it's a proven thing that, the church can just, there's like a caveat in the, is it a caveat or a caveat that is actually in the church's law that you can actually lie through your teeth and you'll be protected if you protect the church. What about protecting the parishioners? What about protecting other people's equal rights? Is the church this powerful that it doesn't need to care about what anybody else thinks? It's just like when in my grandmother's day, the priest used to come around every Friday looking for the handout because every Friday was payday. And every Friday he'd come around, and then he'd get the little bits of money from these poor people, and then he'd expect these poor people to be on church on Sunday putting extra money in the collection tray that went around, the collection plate. I mean, come on. You know, this is greed, total greed and stupidity. On my first show, I got two friends of mine. No, actually, not my first show. My first interview, I should say. Michael Sabatino and Robert Voorhuis were also best men and also witnesses at my wedding to my wonderful, wonderful spouse called Tony. And they got kicked out of the church choir because they got married in Canada, and it was actually publicized on the local news. And they turned around and said, "Oh, no, we're not having that. Not in our church." So now it's just... do you know what really gets me? Is that they actually would not allow divorcees to go into church because it was sacrilegious. And now you find that they have to let them back into church and worship a God that everybody else is supposed to worship, whether it's a God, Allah, or whoever it is. You know, it's all the same thing. We're all praying to a higher being. But they turn around and they're telling you cannot live your life the way you want to live. There's just way too much power. It's so... I'm actually digressing, but the thing is, the reason they started to let divorcees back into the church, mainly because they were getting no congregation. And if you don't get a congregation, you don't get any money. And if you don't get any money, you lose your property. And if you lose your property, you're homeless. So the point is, it's not because of politics. It's down to the bottom line. The filthy lucre. The green stuff. They're just as much as a bitch to the green as we are. So this is what we really should talk about. Okay, soapbox yet again. Now here's something I actually think is going to be rather... Oh, let me just finish that last one. Anyway, so it has not been resolved yet. Those who serve as ministers of the church, including worship ministers, are expected to conform their lives publicly with the teachings of the church. In other words, shut the fuck up. Basically. You know, this is just totally ridiculous. It's about time people started saying, "Excuse me, but you know, you want my money? You get on my line. Because you're my bitch, I'm not yours." Simple as that. There, I have spoken. Anyway, here's a little documentary that's going to come out. Next week, CNN films the story of a transgender Navy SEAL, and that's to premiere the film out in San Diego. Now, this is going to be really interesting. CNN films, and it's going to be called Lady Valor. And it will premiere during a special screening by Film Out San Diego on Wednesday, August the 20th. That's next week. Ooh. The film follows the story of Kristen Beck's service as a Navy SEAL and her continued fight for open transgender military service. Sean Sala, national LGBT policy activist and Iraq war veteran based in San Diego, will be facilitating the question and answer session that will follow the film to expand on the issues facing transgender military service members today. Well, you know, life's difficult enough as it is, but then as transgender to go into a fully male-dominated area, God bless you, girl, because I tell you, you got... I know it's a Freudian slip, but by God, girl, you got some balls. Trust me. You know, I'm probably bigger than most of the others in there, too. So you go for it. So Lady Valor will premiere on CNN US on September the 4th, according to Sala. The film is a must-see. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to see that. You know, good God. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, there's a musical about a lesbian sexual awakening, and that's to open on Broadway Well, I can't see how that will fail because, I mean, if you remember the vagina monologues, I mean, that just took everything by storm. I mean, everything to do with the VG, everybody wants to have a look into it. Some want to get out of it, but that's called birth. But, sorry, just couldn't help it. Anyway, a new musical based on a graphic novel by lesbian author Alison Bechdel will get its Broadway debut in time for next year's Tony Awards. Full Home tells the story of how Bechdel learns about her sexual identity and recognizes her father, who committed suicide when she was in college, and he was also gay. My God, this is going to be a real happy one. Huh? Anyway, but I don't know. It's just there's so much bloody suicide in the news at the moment. You know, with these poor kids, Robin Williams, and all the hate mail that his poor daughter's been getting. I'm actually going to give you some numbers at the end of the show as well. So if you feel as though you need some help, we will help you. Because remember, please, you are not alone. Trust me, you're not alone. And you're not the first person to have thought that way. Trust me. I've been there. My spouse has been there. A lot of my friends have been there. A lot of your friends have been there. Your parents, uncles, grandmothers, future grandchildren, whatever. At one time, they're all going to be there. So we need help. Simple as that. Here's something that is actually rather amusing and nice. Because we started with a teacher, now we're going to finish this little section with a teacher. A teacher who came out in assembly gets a thank you message after 4 years. Isn't that just wonderful? Yay! David Weston, formerly a teacher of Watford Grammar School, came out as gay in an assembly given to the whole school in 2010. A former pupil wrote, "You probably don't remember me. I just wanted you to know how inspirational your assembly was." Continuing, the student, this bloody mouth, it needs a vodka, I'm telling you. The student says that they are straight, but they are also strongly against homophobia. I really felt you should know that you challenged the ignorance of so many people that day. And if every teacher shared your courage, then the world should be a much better place, not just for gay men, but for all of us. And for that, I thank you. I will carry that memory with me for the rest of my life. Thank you. Now that is absolutely wonderful. Do you know, this is it. Do you know what's really holding this country back? The dinosaurs who are running religious organizations and running politics. We need to kick these old farts out and get the young kids in, because obviously they've got more sense than these silly, senile old centenarians, whatever they are. Just, they get me so mad. Let's have some music. In fact, a nice little song here is from going to be Nikki Holland. She was interviewed on our show a little while ago, and I still love her music because she really is a very talented young lady, and it's called Secrets.
Watch me in the corners of your eyes. You're dancing here, that's why I came. I strip you naked in these pictures in my mind. My needs, my wants are hard to tame. Now I wanna run to you, pick you up between your thighs, just to hear you gasp and speak my name. Why do we run? Why do we hide? Why must I be your secret? You come back to hold on, you lock me inside, just to hear you breathing as your hips beneath me rise. Let's dance a way you've never seen. I want to creep in you, open the depth of you inside, surrounded by the musk of you and me. You saturate me with the pleasure in your cries, and I won't let go until you scream. Why do we run? Why do we hide? Why must I be your secret? You come back to hold on, you lock me inside. And in your eyes, your hands, your legs, your hair, until your fingernails, I'm in you, you can go away. Keep it down, keep it down, keep it down. I promise to tell no one. Play along with all the lies. If you'll say that later we can meet, and I'll keep your secret from the public scornful eyes. If that's what it takes to get relief, just know that one day I'll lay it out to your surprise. They don't really care, it's what you perceive. Why do we run? Why do we hide? Why must I be your secret? You come back to hold on, you lock me inside. And in your eyes, your hands, your legs, your hair, until your fingernails, I'm in you, you know where. Keep it down, keep it down, keep it down. And in your eyes, your hands, your legs, your hair, until your fingernails, I'm in you, you know where. Keep it down, keep it pleasure in your eyes. And in your eyes, your hands, your legs, your hair, until your fingernails, I'm in you, you know where. Keep it down, keep it down, keep it.
Okay, welcome back once again. Quickly winding up the show, I'm afraid it's that time to go. I really do hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I had a little laugh at a couple of little things, and please not be too, really too sad. Don't forget, listen, there's just a couple of little things here. It's called suicide.org. There's also the trevorproject.org if you really feel as though you need. So that's suicide.org, the trevorproject.org, and there's also www.crisistextline.org/textline. So that's www.crisistextline.org/textline. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do look after yourselves, and I promise you, I will see you next week. Bye now.